couple of months, do that offline. Now, without further ado, Bill Ragsdale will introduce himself and get on with his talk.
Thank you very much. Bill Ragsdale here. Let's see if we go. If I've got speaker rights or Kevin locked on the screen. Anyway, so Bill Ragsdale here. Most of you know me. I'm the founding president of Fourth Interest Group. Helped steward it for a number of years and then passed it on to very capable hands after that. And now we will go to our presentation. And away we go. This started out to be a presentation on fourth dimensions as a resource for the fourth community. And the more I got into it, I found that the archival aspects were much broader than I had realized. And so, like Topsy, this presentation just grew. And so now it includes my understanding of the major fourth archives that are available. And I'm going to lead off with a bold statement, which I hope is true. And if you want to challenge it, let's do so in discussion later on, but no interruptions at the moment. But my bold statement is that no other computer language has the breadth and depth of information and history as does Forth. You can look at, pick your favorite language, go find an archive that has the depth and breadth of Forth, and I don't believe you will find it. This is due to the motivation of Forth fanciers, their devotion toward the technology, and their devotion to communicating. So through this presentation, you're going to gain access to 620 examples and lessons in Forth. The numbers there are about 5 articles per issue of Fourth Dimensions. There are 6 issues a year over 21 years. And so that scopes out to over 600 elements that you can choose from in your education on Fourth. We'll see how it can be retrieved by subject and author. And in addition, the support through the Silicon Valley Fourth Interest Group is substantial. The slides and the meeting notes of the SVFIG meetings for the last 22 years are at your fingertips, and a video of every Silicon Valley FIG presentation over the last 16 years. In addition, there is the Journal of Fourth Application Research, Formal, which is Fourth Modification Laboratory. There is the Rochester Conference and Eurofourth, and all of these are readily available to you. A little bit of background. While doing this, I stumbled onto the one photo I know of all of the founders of the Fourth Interest Group. We founded the group in 1978 as what I term as a self-help group for hobbyist computerists interested in computer language Forth. The photo there from the back left, first fellow with the shiny forehead is Dave Bolton. Tucked down where you can barely see him is John James, who is actually about 6'3" tall. Front row left is Kim Harris. I'm in the center, and Dave Kilbridge is on the right. We were all in our late 30s at that time. In June, July 1978, we published the first edition of Fourth Dimensions. FIG had been in operation as a group of about 20 people for about 3 or 4 months. We held a couple of meetings and we said, let's get some of this in writing form. And so we started a newsletter that continued for 23 years, a total of 21 volumes. And it opened the door to a flood of Forth-based applications and records. That is, by getting the Fourth Interest Group going, we ended up with several thousand members. At one time, we had some 40 chapters around the world, and these people all then begin to contribute prolifically to the archives we're going to explore. A summary of the items that are available is number 1 is the magazine Fourth Dimensions, over 1978 to 1999. Vierte Dimension, which is a German publication, was started in 1984, and it has continued on a monthly basis to the present. A very, very impressive record. The Journal of Fourth Applications and Research was started by Larry Forsley and Thea Martin at the University of Rochester. They held conferences and they put out a series of journals. They were refereed and they were in a very academic mold. The Fourth Modification Laboratory uh, began. The first event was at the Imperial College in London, and then the formal number 2 and thereafter were done at Asilomar in near Monterey at the Asilomar Conference Center, and continued again for 12 years. These were done typically on the United States Thanksgiving weekend, so we would get together as a family on the Thursday of Thanksgiving at the conference center, and then had 3 days of conference after that. Typically between 100 and 25 people would attend. The Eurofourth conferences began in 1985, and they continue to the present. They are very well done, organized, and they circulate across European cities. And also in the archive, as we are seeing, are the Silicon Valley Fourth Interest Group meeting videos from 2008 to the present. And the meeting slides have even a longer history than that, from 1999 to the present. This is a short listing of taken from the websites we're going to see. This is the content of the items we're going to have access to. As a quick snapshot, over my shoulder in a side table is my collection of fourth dimensions. These are most of the issues, and they have been on my desktop waiting to be scanned, and then I realized they're all online at fourth.org, so I really don't need to scan them. This is Fourth Dimensions number 1, volume 1, number 1. The headline at the top was on Press on Letters. The editor was my wife, Anne, and she edited the first 4 issues. The front page is Right Justified, at no small effort to do on a Selectric typewriter. The second issue had much higher production values. You notice the ruling line around the rectangle was done with an ink pen and a circle template. This continued for roughly the first year, and then FIG had grown to the point where we retained a management organization, Mountain View Press, managed and owned by Roy Martins, and he became the editor and publisher of Fourth Dimensions for about 2 years. And if you notice at the left, the square blocks with the arrows takes us back to indirect threaded code, and so Roy latched on quite promptly onto the guts of fourth technology, incorporated it in his artwork. After a year, the next editor was Leo Brody. Leo Brody had left Fourth Incorporated and was operating his own company, and for 2 years, we provided a transition income for him as he got his new company organized. He brought a high level of professionalism to the letter, and we had new artwork. In 1984, Marlon Overson joined us as the editor, and he was the editor for the next 18 years. It was a work of love on Marlon. Again, he had worked at Fourth Incorporated in editorial work, so he was quite familiar with Fourth. And he brought a new cover artwork for us. Several years later, we went to the final cover. This was in 1990, and that cover continued for the next 10 years. The last issue, which was volume 21 of 1 and 2, was only published online. This was the final issue of Fourth Dimensions, and the retrospection here is Marlon's discussion on how the Fourth Interest Group was ceasing operation. As we'll see, these are all available for you. They're all online. Here's how to get access to it. Go to fourth.org, and right on the home page is the link Fourth Dimensions. Click on that, and you'll be taken to the next page, which gives you the access. And then if you click on the scanned issues, volumes 1 to 20, you get the following screen at the bottom, and this lets you access any individual issue over the following 21 issues. They come out in PDF form. There, in addition, there is an index of all of the articles for the first 15 volumes. So from 1978 to 1994, there is a complete subject type and author index, which we'll see in just a moment. It's available in PDF form and also in Word form. This is an excerpt from that index on the keyword basis. So if you notice at the right, it begins with algorithms and goes down to applications. And later in that same publication, they're sorted by author. So you can go down the author column and see who wrote what. Anonymous was featured in there with about 7 applications. After volume 15, the access is done by a single file, PDF file, that is the scanned table of contents of all the subsequent issues. So in this case, you have to scan down through the table of contents and you'll get a thumbnail description of each article. Oh, here's how to use it. If you download that Word index, you will get the index in doc form. There's a note on that. And this is from the fourth.org, the Fourth Dimensions link. If you try to open that with Word, the current versions of Word don't accept doc anymore for some strange reason. They need some sort of a conversion app to convert to the new docx form. But if you open with LibreOffice, it takes the old format beautifully. Then just do a search on keywords, and then you have at your fingertips 15 years of Fourth Dimensions. As a summary on who were the leading authors, Henry Laxton had 19 entries in that time period. Dr. Ting had 18. John James, one of the early founders, was very prolific at 16. I was at 15. And Glenn Hayden, who operated Mountain View Press, had 12 entries. Here's what you can get from Fourth Dimensions. You can explore your own personal interests, such as how to perform CRC calculations. There are examples of extended precision math, alternatives and different language structures, additions to fourth, other formats as an alternative to indirect threaded code, memory allocation, and so on. These are just simple a selection of the topics that you might find of interest in your own work. You'll have a chance to see how Fourth has evolved over 50 years, from the earliest Fig Fourth days to the FPC days, and to the starting point of Fourth standard. You'll also see the 3 generations of Fourth standards, and I'll leave it to your discovery on how you categorize those generations. And there is much, much more. The next major component in resources are the formal conferences. This is Fourth Modification Laboratory. As I said, it was started by Kim Harris. We were at Imperial College in London for the first episode, and then thereafter in Monterey. We will see in just a moment that the complete index is available. However, I don't believe there are any scanned copies of the entire issues. If you go to Google Books and do a search, you can find some of them that are available for sale, and you can find a link to libraries. And the library search will show you quite a number of libraries around the world that still have copies on file. But this is an open topic for someone to locate the issues, 12 copies, 12 volumes that is, and get them scanned. The access for them is at fourth.org, and then just look for the formal conference article references. This is their format. Again, they're similar to the one we just saw. These are the proceedings sorted by keyword, starting, of course, with applications and down to assembler, and then automation control. The second sort is by author, same time period. We see in the center Will Baden, who is one of the very prolific contributors. And then finally, they're sorted by date. So this takes you from volume 1, issue 1 of the proceedings, the first year, starting on page 3, and this will go page by page through all the succeeding volumes. The next area of great archival interest is the Journal of Fourth Applications and Research. This was done at the University of Rochester. The archive is maintained by Fourth Incorporated. They have taken all of the content of these volumes and extracted them as individual article reprints. So each article is available separately. You don't see the entire journal, but you see the articles item by item. And this is available. There's a link to this at forth.org, and you can also get it at forth.com. Now we get to more of our contemporary activities. Silicon Valley Fig has a wonderful video archive. It's posted on YouTube. There are, at last count, 415 videos and 1,150 subscribers. There's a link again from the Silicon Valley Fourth page, and also you can go to YouTube and search on the full title, Silicon Valley Fourth Interest Group. To locate it from forth.org, go to the SVFig page, and down the link you will find the meeting videos. That will take you to YouTube, the SVFig channel. Also on the SVFig site, there is a complete index of all of those videos from the current back to the very first one. This is A Labor of Love of Dave Jaffe. So from last November, I pull up an example. You can see the individual speakers, the duration of their video, and Brad has very nicely broken these into individual videos, so you do not have to watch the entire 3 or so hours. You can pick out video by video, topic by topic. And again, these 415 videos then is a wonderful information archive on Forth. To support those videos, the speaker slides, videos, and notes are also archived, also on the SVFig site. In general, these are PDFs taken from the speaker slides. The index of these online again, for the year 2023, we can see 12 months of content. Click on each link and you will get the notes from the one meeting of that particular month. Internationally, there is Verta Dimension, which is published in Germany by the German Fourth Interest Group. This is an amazing group. They are very, very active to this day. They began in 1984 and they've continually published until through the current issue 2024, and they also operate the Eurofourth conference. The publications are primarily in German with some English articles. They have likewise a very accessible array on their website, the forth-ev.de. Their archive lists all the issues, PDF format, so you can pick the volume and the issue, download immediately. Their conferences are also online. Since 1995, they've had the proceedings of the conferences online. And again, we see at the euroforth.org, you can see the conference proceedings for each year. The last 3 years were done on the internet, and the physical meetings resumed last summer in Rome. They also publish a very outstanding archive. These are all of their proceedings year by year by year, and you can download them in a number of formats, either view them online or you can download. These are the credits for our presentation. This winds up or is a summary of what we've seen so far. The Fourth Dimensions, the credits there are due to my wife Ann, Ray Martins, Leo Brody, and Marlon Overson, who were the editors of that publication over the years. For the Journal of Fourth Applications and Research, we credit Larry Forsley and Thea Martin, who were editors and managed the publication. The formal conferences were initially inspired by Kim Harris. Bob Riley became the business manager, and the two of them were responsible for the proceedings. The Silicon Valley Archive is maintained by Dave Jaffe, George Perry, Kevin Appert, and Brian Nelson, who on a monthly basis put their heart and soul into capturing all of our current information. And we'd like to offer a great thanks to Skip Carter of Tagata Network Security, who hosts Forth.org. He hosts the Forth.org and the Silicon Valley Forth page, and was the business manager for Forth for a number of years, along with his late wife. So, to wind up, we have a huge debt and value from the Forth organizations and users who have left us this archive. It is very wide in scope. The link entry is a little bit obscure. You have to start from the Forth.org page, but you can click through, and all the material that we've talked today is available from those locations. The starting point, as always, is Forth.org. And so that winds me up. Thank you very much for your rapt attention. And do we have any questions?
I just have a comment. It was really
yes.
great. That was really great.
Good. It's, as I said, the more I got into it, the more I found, and I knew roughly what was there, but I was more than impressed with what I discovered.
Yeah, I went to Asilomar for a few years, and I was part of Will Baden's group. He used to call the other language the profane languages. And he was a senior IBM programmer at the time.
Will was one of the most clever, creative people around. On a whim, he learned Arabic just because he wanted to learn another language. When we took our China trip in 1984, he learned, I assume, Mandarin Chinese, so he'd be able to talk to people. And when our conference presentations were done, Dr. Ting was translate. So we would present in English, and Ting would translate to Chinese. When Will stood up, Will started presenting in Chinese. And that threw Ting for a loop, because he had to now translate from Chinese to English for the Americans who were there. Anyway, but Will Baden, he was great. I learned a few words of Chinese, primarily the numbers 8 and 0, because Ba is 8 and Ling is 0. So 880 is Ba Ling, and 8800 is Ba Ling Ling. And that is my extent of Chinese that I learned from Will Baden. Any other comments or questions? We certainly are reminiscing. All right, I turn it back to Fearless Leader Kevin. Thank you for your rapt attention. And all I ask is for a 20-minute head start.
Thank you so much, Bill. We're very grateful for your frequent contributions to this forum. I'd like to say that anybody that's interested in facilitating the scanning of Asilomar formal documents, I have what I believe to be a complete set. There might be only one copy remaining in the storage locker of one of the issues, but it was in the inventory. But especially if you're in the Bay Area and you can help, I believe that, well, anyway, contact me if you're interested, especially if you're in the Bay Area. So
I would like to be involved with that. I'm kind of stacked on a few projects, but I have the first 4 or 5 volumes, and so here's kind of a bargain. And I do have a page scanner, so I may try to scan the 4 volumes that I have, and if I do accomplish that, then I come back to Kevin and see if we can scan the remainders. But that's very open-ended.
Okay. Don't commit to that. You've got enough irons in the fire, especially your upcoming book, which I'd like to applaud again and wonder when you're going to
And that's not the half of it. I'm also doing a five issue series on YouTube on managing amateur radio repeaters, and I'm doing a educational series in Hollywood for magicians. So I I, I am loaded.
We're going to have to ask you back one of these days to teach lock picking to ne'er-do-wells.